Hello, everyone. This is Tom Painter again. Thank you so much for joining with us. I'm so excited to be able to introduce to you a good friend of mine. This is Mr. Randy Garn. He's going to be our first instructor today. But before I do that, I need to show you something really pretty incredible of what we accomplished together. Randy and I and our good friend Ethan Willis, along with Robert Allen and Mark Victor Hansen, taught thousands and thousands of people from all over the world. In fact, the protege program that we created was the basis for what we created here in the foundation. We have wonderful men and women that have donated these wonderful products, these wonderful classes, and all of that came out of a project that we did together. But I wanted to show this one to you. This is our goal, was for our students around the world to make $1 billion. That's a crazy number goal. And you can see that we accomplished that goal. And a big part of that was because of Randy and Ethan, along working with myself, Robert Allen, Mark Victor Hansen, and all of our groups. So we went over $1 billion. Imagine that, $1 billion. Now, the most impressive part about all of that we did was that we set a goal of giving away over $25 million. And you can see that we hit that goal. We went eventually over $30 million to over 2,000 different charities that the students did. So as we make money, the goal is to get that money out and to help other people. Success stories, we've got thousands and thousands of success stories, and many of those success stories from Randy's group, my group, is on the successmoneyfoundation.org site now, where you can see them as well. And the last one was to share the wealth. What is sharing the wealth? Wealth is helping other people. Wealth is taking and making a difference in other people's lives. That's the only way you can get what you want. My friend Tony Robbins says, the secret to living is giving. And if you give more, you'll get more. It's a spiritual law. It's when we talk about the 5 steps, make more money, separate it. Number 3 is to give. Give to individuals, churches, charities, and those in need. Then, of course, number 4 is to automatically invest. Number 5 is to save and spend. And then do that on a monthly basis, times have a golden value, and you will have what we call generational wealth. But I'm so excited to introduce my good friend. This is Mr. Randy Garn. Randy and I have worked together for decades. He's just a wonderful man, a big giver, a big thinker. And in all the years that we were in the same building, and all the years that I worked with him, I never, ever saw him not be positive. It didn't matter what was going on. He was Mr. Optimistic. The whole sky could be falling. And he would, if the sky was falling, he would say, wow, look, we can see the stars. This guy's crazy. He was so positive about things. And he was a big part of how we accomplished making over $1 billion first. Our students made that they reported. And more importantly, the character of the man that was behind that helped us with over 3,000 different charities and over $30 million to charity. So I'll introduce my good friend. This is Mr. Randy Garn. He is the New York Times best-selling author with his friend Ethan Willis, called Prosper. It's a New York Times best-selling book, and he is an amazing man. He is also traveled all over the world, and I'm so excited to introduce him. So Randy, thank you so much for being with us, and take it away.
Tom, how awesome is it to be on this morning? I actually feel like it's like 20 years ago when we were both hanging out together. It's so good to be here, and I feel so blessed this morning to share some thoughts with all of you. It sounds like we got people from all over the world on the call today. I do love traveling. I do love giving, and I love it that Tom is probably one of the most giving people I've ever met in my life, and I know that he surrounds people that feel the same. So one of the things that as I get into my presentation, we wrote a book. One of the things that when Tom and I, we work with a lot of New York Times bestsellers, and we work with a lot of great thought leaders. We work with a lot of great people. And I think there's a few people in my life where I'm like, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter how much money somebody's made. Tom and I always look for people's hearts and their minds and what kind of character they have. And are they making an impact in the world? And when I think of Tom, I get a little emotional because he's given so much, and he does so much, and he gives his whole life to making other people's lives better. You know, one of the things that I love too is that I'm Tom. I don't know if you're still doing this, if you're still taking kids to Disneyland.
Yeah, whenever we can, absolutely.
I mean, I hope one day I get to go with you to do that trip. But I was thinking this morning, you know, and you know, I lived in the Philippines. How many people do we have on here from the Philippines? Sounds like we have quite a few. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. I grew up in a small little town in Sugar City, Idaho. It's a sweet little place. My father was a high school football coach, and so he probably shaped me a ton. And I know not everybody has an amazing father or amazing family situation growing up. I just was blessed to have an amazing dad that taught me a lot of great principles. And I mean, we would, my dad would push us super hard. We would wake up at 5:30 in the morning, wake up, slop the hogs, wake the chickens, and run out to the ranch. But one of the things that he always taught me was how to be self-sufficient. And he said, Randy, one of the things that you need to do is learn how to always ensure that you don't have to be in a place where you're asking for other people for things. You want to be able to have self-sufficiency, and that you can learn how to make money, and you learn how money works. And I love that Tom's doing that and teaching that. You know, growing up, we didn't have a lot of money, but we had enough, and we had a lot of love. We had a lot of great things. But what he taught me to be is to be an entrepreneur and to really learn how to work with people and how to work with money, and literally how to be a really good creator on my own, that I could create my own jobs and create my own, you know, own circumstances so that I could take care of my family. So those are some of the things I want to share with you of what I learned as we go through that. So I want this to be pretty interactive as well. So we do have the chat here. Tom, can you watch the chat for me if there's some questions that come up?
Sure, I can do that.
So I do want to this to be pretty interactive as we do this. And so if you would just put in the chat, I'd love to know where everybody's from. And it looks like we have somebody here from Nigeria, from the Philippines. Magandang umaga sayo. We got you know, people from all over the world. I'd love to hear Tarlac, Philippines, you know, the Caribbean, Cedar City, Utah. What's up, Cedar City? That's awesome. Nigeria, Baguio. I lived in Baguio for 2 years. I love it up there. Maganda talaga doon, malimig. We got, so it's just amazing. Bulacan, we've got people from all over. So what I want to share with you today is just some really key principles that have shaped my life. And so as I go into this, I'm gonna share my screen here and share with you, you know, one of the principles that we really teach is the core principle of prosperity and what it means to really be prosperous. You know, a lot of people want to make a lot of wealth, and for me, I really wanted to dive in of what that word means was prosperity. It's really to help create the life you really want. And Ethan Willis and I did a lot of research on what that means to be prosperous. And I'm gonna break that down for you guys today a little bit. But for me, prosperity is, you know, especially those deep relationships, and Tom talked about that a little bit, is how important relationships are in your life. And this is my family right here. When me and Tom first met, I just had one person in there, and that was my wife. And now I have 6 kids, and I have 2 sets of twins. And it is just so fun to really, really grow and watch them. So now I'm doing what my father did to me, is I'm teaching them how to be self-sufficient and to have jobs. My oldest daughter just got married, and so she's actually on a new stage of her life and learning that. And let me advance this here. So as we think about today, I hope you guys have got your pens out, and if you've got a notepad. If you don't, I'm going to give you a minute right now to go get a notepad and a piece of pen and a pen to write things down. Because I want to make sure that some of the things that I share that you guys will integrate into your lives, that I know will make an impact. I'm going to give you a minute to do that. Make sure you've got some things to write with. Okay. Grab a piece of paper, get a good glass of water, whatever you need, because we're going to dive into this. Because it's amazing how one little conversation can change things forever, and multiple conversations as you go through things. But I want to watch this. Let me see if I can. Oh, back. How do I go back here? There we go. So this is my. I want to watch this right here, because things. How many of you can raise your hands if you feel like things are going so fast right now? I mean, I think about when me and Tom first started. Me and Tom first started BG. It was before Google. And we used to be able to just email people, and we'd get like 87% open rates. Remember those days, Tom?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, this was before social media. This was before Instagram. This was before Facebook. This was before, Chat GBT and everything that we've got now. But I want to share this video because as you guys get older, this makes me think of how fast things are speeding up. And so we want to learn, we want to teach you guys how to really learn. So I want you to look at this. This is a video from the Formula One pit stop in 1950, Indianapolis 500. So watch this real quick.
But Holland comes in for a pit stop.
Can you guys hear this?
To refuel and change tires. Lou Moore himself changes the tires. Only 4 crew members, including the driver, are allowed to work on the car. It's the 10th time. Holland stays in his seat, anxious to get away. Let's watch.
And so in 1950, this is one of the fastest recorded pit stop changing. I don't know if we have any good race car fans out there, Formula One fans, but I love Formula One. And but look at this. They've got their guys giving him a drink of water. They're going quick. You got one guy changing a tire here. He's cleaning his windshield off. But think about the speed in which they're doing this. And I want you guys to listen. How many seconds did it take to do this? I want you guys to listen quickly here as we watch this. They're getting closer.
The tires are changed.
Here we go.
A crewman polishes the windshield as Holland moves away just 67 seconds after he stops.
All right, how many seconds? Like 57 seconds. So it did not seem like it was forever. Now here's 2013. Now watch this. This is what Tom teaches you. This is how money works. If you invest it right, if you do it right, this is how life works if you learn quick. This is in today's market. So watch this team. Let's see if you can see this one. All right, did you catch that? Look at this, watch. Boom. How many seconds on this one? Oh, 3 seconds. Is that not amazing? You think about today and how fast things are going, and that is the speed of learning. You think about that in the teams that you work with and the people you surround yourself with. But I want you to visually think about that, because that's how you can compound money as well, is that it can grow and be fast. And so we want to teach you guys how to really think about how you use tools, trainings, technology, learning. That's why you're on here today, is to be able to use some of the things that I'll share with you today, how to be faster, how to grow your money and your wealth faster, how to build your teams faster so that you can do bigger and better things. So this is my dad, and I shared this a little bit. My dad is 88 years old. He is really one of the most amazing humans that I've ever met. And he's always been there for me. We used to say family prayers because he was a football coach. And then we'd all put our hands in the middle and we'd say, "Go Garns." That's how we started almost every morning out, is just keeping us in a state of mind that was positive. But he always taught us some things. I remember when I was getting ready for college, I had just come home from the Philippines, and I got home in December in Idaho, and it was, I don't know, there's like three or 4 feet of snow. outside. So I came home from this very warm climate in the Philippines, you know, and it's freezing cold in Sugar City. I gotta go out and chop wood and start the fire, go feed the horses. And I remember as I came in that day, I was getting ready for college, for my first day of college. And my dad shared with me a couple things as I got ready and I was ready to move out of my house. And he shared this with me. He said, Randy, if you don't have your own goals, someone else will use you for theirs. And I've never, ever forgotten that. And I wrote that down in my journal. And if you think about that, I want you guys all on this call today to really get clear on what kind of life you want to create. Because if you don't have your own goals, someone else will use you for theirs. And a lot of people are like great grasshoppers, you know, really excited, great on takeoff, but you never know where they're going to land, right? It's like, boink, bing. So, and if you don't have clarity and if you're actually leading people, then they don't know where they're going either. You know, as a father, as a business leader, I'm running several companies right now and several businesses, and I've got teams all over the world, and I help them understand this too, is that if you don't have your own goals, someone else will use you for theirs. So I always say, I learned this from Jim Kiltz, and Warren Buffett said he was the best, he's one of the best CEOs, best COOs in America. He ran Kraft, Nabisco, you know, and several of Warren Buffett's companies. But he always said, if you don't have your strategy on one page, you don't have a strategy. And so you want to make sure that your goals and what you want to do and create your life to be is very, very clear. And so I'm going to share with you some of the things that I do to seek clarity. Is I actually journal every single night. And so I don't know if there's anybody that journals out there. Raise your hand or give me a thumbs up or a high five if you journal. Okay, Judith, you got it. So if you journal, just give me a little high five on your thing. Now give me a high five if you're going to start journaling. So here's what I do. I used to journal in the morning, and it works differently for everybody. But I journal at night, and really what I do is I write down, there's 3 questions that I ask myself. And I ask myself this first question is, what miracles did I see in my life today? You know, how did I see the hand of God in my life today? And that puts me always in a really good spot. And I always write down one miracle or one thing that I know was a tremendous blessing to me. And then the next thing that I write down are what are the 5 biggest things that I need to accomplish tomorrow? Just 5 things. I really like, what are 5 key things that I need to accomplish tomorrow? And then the other thing that I write down are who are 5 individuals or 5 people that I need to reach out to and bless their life. So those are the really key things that I do. And then I will check myself each night, and I will just keep this thing rolling. Just doing that one habit has changed my life forever. Because I'll think about somebody during the day, and I'll make sure that I'm reaching out to them. I'll either send them a video, I'll send them a book, I'll send them a handwritten note. But you guys have to also understand that your network becomes your net worth. The greater people that you can surround yourself with and starting doing bigger things with, the more opportunities you'll have for growing wealth too. So how do you define prosperity? I want you guys to think about that. Like, how do you define prosperity? So Tom, or anybody, I'd like to ask you guys just a little question. Tom, how would you define prosperity?
Well, that's basically what you're saying. You know, you're not taking it with you. The only thing you're going to take with you is the things that you've accomplished and the knowledge. Have you helped people or hurt people along the way? And everything is a subset of that.
That's exactly right. You know, is how many people can you help, and what kind of impact can you make, and what kind of life are you creating? Who else? How would you define prosperity? You can put it in the chat, or if you want to unmute and share, I'd love to hear from you. Who wants to share? I want to get some interaction going here. How would you define prosperity? Okay.
Hi, Randy.
Progressive life. Okay. Who else?
Hi, Randy.
Hello. Magandang umaga.
Well, I don't understand that one, but prosperity for me is when you could be self-sustaining and be an asset to others as opposed to being a liability. You give more to the world than you ever take from it.
I love it. So that you can be an asset for others and not a liability.
Yes.
That is fantastic. So that you're actually, yeah, that you're on the other side of the balance sheet, right? That you're making a difference and making an impact. And Chokes, where are you at?
Well, I'm in St. Lucia in the Caribbean.
Oh, beautiful. I wish I was there with you swimming.
All right. You're welcome anytime.
Now
thank you for sharing. Really appreciate you. Thank you.
Yes. So here we got a couple of other. Daryl, personal improvement is another way to look at it. Prosperity means doing things that are undone. Great health. Allison, I love it. Great health and great wealth is how she defines prosperity. Prosperity is success is who you become, and that's a quote from Jim Rohn. So I think as you think about these things, here's what I've been able to really break this down to, and what we've found is this, is the prosperity zone for us is what we found was a lot of people thought prosperity was, it's a balance between these three sections here: money, happiness, and sustainability. And the intersect of that is the prosper zone. So it's like a three-legged stool, is prosperity, is that I know a lot of people, and Tom and I know a lot of people that have a lot of money, but aren't necessarily happy. I know a lot of people that are happy and have joy in their heart, but they don't have a lot of money, and they're trying to do everything that they can, just to make ends meet and to fight for things. So I want to make sure that's those two things together is what help that. And so if you have a stool and it's only got two legs, there's a third leg to it, which is sustainability. Can you do it over the long haul? Is it good for others? Is it good for the environment? Is it good for people? Are you doing good? Is it, so those are the three things. If you write down those three things as you're planning out your goals in your life, if you want to live in that prosper zone, you want to think about those three things. And so are you, for money, here's a really good example. I have a friend that is a big entertainment attorney. He makes 7 figures a year. I mean, he makes well over $1 million plus a year. He's flying all over the world. He is going to all these dinners and all these fancy places with all these celebrities. And he's doing very, very well money-wise. He came to me and he said, Randy, I'm miserable. I have zero relationship with my kids. I have zero relationship with my wife. And yet I'm making all this money. I'm at all these events that everybody would die to go to. And he's like, I hate going to them. I don't even want to go to them anymore. So even though he was doing well financially, he wasn't, like Edward said, living a balanced life, and doing the things that really matter most. So he was trading all that as an entertainment attorney and just doing all these things for what really drove his happiness, which I even put up on the top of my screen, was his family. And his neighbor is a good friend of mine, and his neighbor is a guy that has a car detailing business called Dr. Detail. And he also does well financially, but what they do is he works with his sons and his daughter, and he has set up a car detailing franchise in California. They wake up early in the morning together with his kids, and they're doing it this summer. They go out and they detail cars. They've got a full, they've franchised it now. So they have a van that they take these cleaning equipments, and they'll literally go and detail all these wealthy people's cars, show up at offices and do that. He gets to spend time with his kids. They usually detail cars from 6 a.m. in the morning and they're done by 3. He doesn't miss a soccer game. He doesn't miss a football game. You know, they don't have the largest home in the world, but he's actually super, super happy and he's making sufficient for his needs, if that makes sense what I'm talking about. He loves it and he loves his kids, and now he set it up so that it runs on its own. And so now he has the freedom to do whatever he wants. And it's sustainable. So he set up a business model that is sustainable and that has a recurring revenue stream, because now he has accounts. He's set people up on audit, you know, monthly detailing so that they just show up and take care of it once a month. And so I want you guys to think about that. It's always not the amount of money that you create, it's how you create it, and that it is sufficient for what you create, and that you can be, it's doing good for people, and that you can do it over the long haul. Because if you absolutely hate what you do, you're not going to be happy. And I know a lot of people that are thinking about going to college, is you have to think about what it is that really drives happiness in your heart. And I'm going to get into how you do that as the next slide here. Does that make sense what I'm talking about? So if you look about that, it's actually, there's a formula for prosperity, and this is the formula. It's money plus happiness plus sustainability equals prosperity. So prosperity defined money. We talk about that. It's like Tom, one of the things that I love about Tom is that he's teaching people how money works. There's not a lot of financial literacy classes out there. There's not a lot of financial literacy classes in high schools, colleges that really teach you the power of money and how it is a tool. And I truly believe that money is so important to understand that you have a good relationship with money. You know, growing up, it's interesting to think about, but you have to think about, how do you feel about money? I want you guys to literally learn how to attract money into your life, and to be able to learn how to make money and be able to create it on your own, be able to drive value for other people. So as you think about money, make sure that you don't think of it as something that is evil. And I mean, Tom mentioned Tony Robbins. If you think about one of the things that I love, that I was with Tony at an event and with a group of CEOs, and there was just a small group. And one of the guys said, "Hey, I've got enough money. I'm doing good. I don't need to do any more." And then one of the things that Tony said, he said, "Well, if you think you have enough money, then you're not giving enough." And I love that. As I think about that, like, the reason now why I want to continue to grow and to do that is so that I can give more and give back more. And that's a lot what Tom does with the National Day of Service and Vision, and some of the charities that I know Tom's involved with. I mean, it was interesting this last Christmas, I get a charity donation from Tom to one of my favorite charities. Just because, I mean, that's so amazing that you think about it, because I don't need a lot of stuff. I can only eat so many meals. I can only put on one pair of pants at a time. You know, right now, I just want to grow my net worth so that I can give back more, so that I can give to my children, so that I can actually learn how to serve more, so that I can have freedom to do what I want and to be what I want and go where I want and spend time with those that I want. So that is why it's so important that you have a good relationship with money, and that you understand how to save, you understand how compound interest works. So we'd love to help you all understand that. The more you listen to Tom and the more you come to these classes, the more he's going to help you learn the power of money. And that it is not an evil thing. It is a great thing to learn, and especially if you know your heart. Now, the other thing is that money, I know a lot of people that as you make a lot of money, it'll actually also share a lot of your true character. So you have to understand, like, if you're a bad person and you're making a lot of money, you're doing evil things, you got to be careful of that. But ensure that you have your right heart and your right mind in the right place. You can use money to bless lots of lives, including your own. So the other thing prosperity is defined is happiness. One of the things, I don't know, when God made me, I guess he put a little extra joy of like an extra drop of happiness or joy in the batch. But I just usually have never been in a grumpy state or a sad state. I try to keep myself in a beautiful state all the time. And I do think that learning to get in the habit of being happy will actually help you attract money. It really will. Like if you're a happy person and if you're willing to serve, and I always say serve before you sell. If you're really in a good space with joy and happiness, then you'll be able to attract a lot more opportunities in your life. If you get down, if you're not happy, how you show up in your meetings, how you show up on Zoom calls, how you show up with your family, how you show up with your business partners, do you drive joy in their life? Do you drive happiness? Is the job you're doing now, do you love it? Or do you need to learn to love it? Do you need to change your attitude around it so that you can get promoted, so that you can get better, so that you can be a leader? Ensure that you're putting yourself in a really good place. One of my good friends, Brendan Burchard, he has the 6 habits of high performers. And the first habit is to seek clarity. But the second habit I love is to generate energy. And a lot of times having happiness will give you better energy. It will give you better vibrance. It'll give you a better glow. It will give you a better countenance. It'll make you be in a place, in a state where you'll have a lot more efficiency and effectiveness because you have joy. If you're down or grumpy or in a bad place, the statistics is that happy people make a lot more money than those that are down. So learn to get yourself in a good state, in a good place. And so I think that's important. I know we go through hard things, and I always ask myself, instead of looking at the problem, I always look at what's the solution. And Tom knows that about me. I have a really good mentor, and one of the things that he says is that I ask for mountains to climb. I like challenges. I like hard things. That's actually where I know I'm growing. What drives me happiness is creating and building more and growing and becoming a better person. My life is a work of art. Like I'm a work of art. I'm a child of God. Like I want to make sure that I'm living up to the measure of my creation and that I'm actually seeing joy in the journey and everything that I do. So I want to help you guys understand that that is a humongous piece of prosperity. So does anybody have anything they want to add to that? Tom, do you have anything that you do to stay in a good place, or anybody else? Even put it in the chat. What are some things that you do to keep happy, to stay in a beautiful state?
Well, the one thing that I really learned this from Tony, is gratitude.
Yeah.
You have to start every morning and you just make a list. Like this morning, I was on the bike, getting ready. And there's a picture of my mom and dad who both passed away. There's a picture of my wife, and there's a picture of my 5 children and my 4 grandchildren and my 2 son-in-laws. And part of my morning routine is I just go through everything I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for my mom and dad, grateful for my wife, grateful for my family, grateful to be able to walk. I've had some major back surgeries. You talk about health as part of your prosperity. I've had some major health issues. I had a heart attack when I was 34 years of age. I'm just happy to be here. And it's all about your rules. What are your rules for success? You can go to a football game and half the crowd is upset because they lost. And I changed the rules. Now I cheer for a good play. Whenever we go golf, some people just get so upset because they didn't get their score. If I get one good hit, I'm happy. So it's about your rules. Change your rules and make them so that you win. And then make them a little more difficult as you go. But it starts with gratitude. It starts with being grateful. And then everything else will come behind it.
It's so true, Tom. And I love it. I mean, one of the things that Tom said, which is key, somebody said health is wealth, too. And I know Tom's been through some things. So For me, I have to work out every single morning. I have to get outside every single day and get some good vitamin D. And Tom, this morning, you being on the bike and seeing the pictures of those that you love, and ensuring that you're doing the things that matter most. I've truly found that my happiness actually comes from my relationships. And I could go all day long about the importance of surrounding yourself with people that want to make you be more and do more. And Tom's one of those people for me. Is that's like, you look at your family, you look at your business partners, you look at your relationship with, with God or whatever that may be, that can actually ensure that you have joy in there. And I love this. Jake Erickson says, I love to get outside, just taking a minute to enjoy nature and change my mindset real quick. One of the things that I love, I do love fly fishing. I took a group of 5 CEOs that have never been fly fishing before, and I took them last night, and we had the greatest time. And all of them said that that was the best thing that they've ever done. We went out to dinner after and just talked about just being in the river and fly fishing and not worrying about things for a minute will help you drive clarity. And that gave us some great joy and built deep, meaningful relationships quick. So I want you guys to think about those things and ensure we only live one time. Ensure that you're doing those things that drive happiness for you and that those that matter most for you. I want you guys to think about that. So prosperity you find is, that state of mind, living authentically. One of the things that and this is actually part of our study. So this is not me making up. We did thousands and thousands of interviews with thousands of our students. The other thing that was interesting, that part of happiness was commitment. Are you fully committed to what you're doing? Or are you like, a shifting sand going everywhere and not completely focused on what's most important to you? Is having commitment actually drove a deeper sense of happiness. And then the other thing is health and wellness. Myself, I push myself. I'm doing 3 triathlons this year, and I'm getting ready for the Kona Half Ironman for next year. I try to eat super, super, super healthy. I try to ensure that what I'm taking into my body is making my mind clear and that my gut is clear. And so I think that it's also important that a lot of people will make tons and tons of money and give out on their health. And then all of a sudden they'll spend all of their wealth to get back their health, right? So you just have to, I want you guys to learn this at an early age and learn this right now, is that is going to be important as you go through your life. Now, the other thing is sustainability. So I want you guys to put into the chat, what does sustainability mean to you? What does it mean to have sustainability in your life? It's actually a really, really important key part of prosperity. It's a key third leg to the stool. Anybody have anything they want to add to sustainability? Tom, what does it mean to you to have sustainability?
Wow. I'm a little older than Randy by a couple decades, and Randy, I'd swap with you right now if you want to. Sustainability, boy, when I think of the big thing for me is your health. And when I've had good health, businesses have climbed, all my real estate's climbed, my investments climbed, I've done extremely well. But when I've had some health issues, and I've had some pretty major health issues in my life, everything went down. Everything went down. And there was times where I just knew that I couldn't go into the office because I'd make a bad decisions. And I was literally in bed. I had major depression after that heart attack, just really took me out. And so sustainability to me is doing exactly what Randy's talking about. You see, he's got routines. He's got a routine at night. He's got a routine in the morning. He's got a routine for his food. He's got a routine. He set up some rules so that he feels good and that he has the energy. And if he feels good and you have energy, then you can be sustainable. Vince Lombardi said that fatigue makes cowards of us all. And it's really true. So the big thing for me, sustainability, is simply getting the rules down and doing the things that help you to be more prosperous. And if you got the energy and you got the focus, then the game's fun. But if you don't have the energy, you don't have the focus, then game's not fun. And as you know, money's a game and games are fun. Health is a game and games are fun. Finance is a game and games are fun. Business is a game and games are fun.
Love it.
Let's go have some fun. Back to you.
I love it, Tom. And you're exactly right. And as we studied this, a lot of the people said those same things. Is, sustainability is, again, if what you're doing to earn an income is not driving joy in your heart, then you will not be able to do that for long periods of time. And so sustainability means that it's good for you. Can I feel good about it? Can I feel good about what I'm doing? If I'm building a company that actually is not good for the environment, if it's not good for others, can I sustain it? Can I sustain it over the long term? You have to think about these things, because I'm thinking about my life right now too. I'm turning 48 years old this year. I'm gonna be a grandpa soon. I'm thinking differently now than I've ever thought. So I want you guys to think about, what kind of art are you going to create, and how are you going to create that? Is it ethical? I mean, one of the people in here, he says, Allison said, being concerned of the environment, going green, the ability to keep doing. And I love this from Twix, the ability to keep doing what you're doing to achieve the life that you want. So I want you guys to think about that. And I can't remember who it is, but I can't remember who said it, but I'm also trying to live my life as, in my obituary, what are they going to say about me? And I've actually written down a lot of the things that I want to be remembered for. And so for me, that's also, how am I going to leave a legacy, and how can I keep that sustainability? I know that Tom, for his son, has bought real estate properties to help take care of his son and to help do those things. Tom, that is sustainability. And you're my hero for doing that. You're thinking about ways, you understand how money works. That is sustainability. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
Well, I think most people know that I did have a heart attack when I was 34 years of age, and as I was being wheeled into the operating room, I looked over at my wife and I wondered if I was literally coming back. 1/3 of the people who have a heart attack die; they're just gone.
Yep.
And I had 2 special needs children.
Yeah.
And I'm 30 years older than these kids. So I had to think differently. I couldn't think the way other people thought. I had to figure out how to create streams of income and generational wealth to take care of these kids, because I don't think the government's going to do it. And so that's what we all need to do. And one of the things that my parents did, Randy, is that in 1984, they started investment accounts for their then 12 grandchildren. And each of those investment accounts, they took care of them. And when the child got to be 21, they were able to take over and put it into real estate, put it into investments or schooling or whatever it was. And when my mom and dad passed away, they had 70 grandkids and great grandkids. Wow. Each of them had an investment account. So that's where I'm learning this. The stuff that we're teaching you, we didn't make this up. Randy and I both had wonderful parents, especially our dads from the money side. My dad is 4 days older than Warren Buffett, and I had a mini Warren Buffett that taught me. Randy's dad is just as powerful, and taught him the values that you are getting from. So you've just got to connect the dots, but you got to connect the dots going back a second generation, because it was our parents that instilled this in us that are now instilling it with you. Back to you, Randy.
Well, and Tom, I think that's important, because I want to take you guys to a whole nother level. Because as you're building your prosperity, I want you guys to break generational habits. You can be the one, and I want to tell you this, you can be the one in your family that changes things forever. You can be the one that creates long-lasting prosperity, but you're just going to have to think a little differently. That's why you're here learning. 2 things that I know in my life is that the desire to learn and then the ability to learn. So I want you guys to have the ability to take what we're teaching you and put it into practice. It can be done. Every single one of you. Like, I love it that look at Tom's parents. They put an investment account together for their children. They're leaving a legacy of prosperity. They're changing those kids' lives. So each one of you can be that one that breaks the mold in your families to really be that person that says, I'm going to actually be somebody. I remember 3 years ago, and I had my kind of moment as well, is just like Tom, 3 years ago, as I was getting ready for a triathlon, I got ran over by a car on my road bike. The driver wasn't paying any attention. He ran a red light. I was crossing the road, and I looked at him, and I thought I was good. So I'm pedaling my road bike. I got my Trek. I'm going to get a good 40 miles in and getting ready for I was actually getting ready for the Kona Half Ironman that I did a few years ago. And he was a distracted driver, and he hit me head on and ran right over the top of my legs and my chest. And I remember when I was getting ran over, kind of like Tom, as he's sitting there on that place, I remember thinking, like, I got 6 kids at home. It was all in slow motion. I remember thinking that, man, if I don't die, my wife's going to kill me when I get home. Like, I'm going to be like, what's happening to me? But thank goodness I was protected. And I didn't have any severe injuries. I wasn't killed that day. But I did look at that as like, man, if I need to even do a better job at setting this up for my family, I need to do a better job to ensure that those that I love most are protected. So that's also a part of prosperity, is that you're not just looking at me. You're looking at who are the lives, who depends on me. Like, if I wasn't around, why would it matter? Like, who depends on you? Who needs you to show up for them every single day? I want you guys to think about that as you're thinking about building prosperity. And that's why when I journal, I make a list of those 5 people that matter most and that I need to reach out to during the day. I ensure that I'm spending time and doing an audit with those that mean the most to me. I'm going to take you guys through the 6 prosperity points, the 6 steps towards prosperity, and I'll go through these. The first one is to locate your Polaris point. Now, the Polaris point is your North Star, and I want you to write these down because these can be helpful for you. And if you like, you can go buy my book on Amazon as well. It's called Prosper, but it has these 6 points in there. So the first one is like to really locate your Polaris point. And for me, that's ensuring that I'm aligned with what God created me to do, and that I'm using those God-given talents and those core competencies to design my life and be like, hey, this is where I know I want to go. And it goes back to what I shared with you about my dad. If you don't have your own goals, someone else will use you for theirs. But I want you to think about that very first thing is, where is your North Star? Locate your Polaris point. What direction do you want to go to the rest of your life? What are you really good at? Are you good at web design? Are you good at a craft? Are you good with money? Are you good with people? Do you want to be a leader? I want you guys to really think about what are your core competencies in building wealth. And I love this quote by Gina Galvin. When you stop blaming external forces and own up to your responsibilities, we become the ultimate creators of our destiny. So when I stop, I don't blame anybody. I take personal responsibility for my Polaris point, for everything that I want to do and everything I want to create. So I want you guys to really start taking a personal responsibility in that. The second part is to live in the prosperity zone. Living in the prosperity zone, again, means that you're in that place that you're moving forward in your Polaris point, and that you're living in that prosperity zone where it's the 3-legged stool: money, happiness, and sustainability. That's what I'm talking about. It's that centerpiece that those 3 things are working. So that's the second piece that you got to really, really understand. I'm actually there. I'm living in that. I know what I need to do. And now I've got the 3 things. I'm making an income I want. I'm happy about it. And I can feel good about it, and it's sustainable. So that is number two. And then after that, and all of these are sequential. And the other thing is to learn to earn from your core. Again, it's like thinking about being resourceful. And a good story about this is earning from your core. Like, I've always been really, really super good with people. You know, I'm a natural networker. I know how to build relationships quick. I know how to drive value for people. I see things in 3D. But I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. When I got back from my mission from the Philippines, I had to go to college. I did get a scholarship, but I did still need some money for books, for food, for my car, for dating, for, you know, rent, all that. And so I was like, man, I need to figure out a way to really like earn some additional income. You know, here I am, you know, 21 years old, and I'm like, we're at these girls' apartment, and one of the girls said, hey, if you take my garbage out, so there was all these apartments, there's like 600 doors on this apartment. And she said, if you take my garbage out, I'll pay you $1. I'm like, what if and all of a sudden a light came on. And now listen to this story, like earning from your core. It was a girl that I thought was cute. I was going to take on a date. And then she had her 4 roommates there. So there are 4 roommates. And I said, hey, if I take your garbage out every week, will you guys pay me each $1? So that'd be $4, right? And all of a sudden the light went on. And I said, dude, I'm going to start a business. Because in the winter in Idaho, it gets super cold, and they don't want to take their garbage from their apartment all the way to the dumpster, which is a little ways away. So all of a sudden the light went on, and I set it up a company called Trash for Cash. And then I changed it to Buck. And I became the guy that I had over 700 dorm rooms of girls, and actually helped with my dating as well. But I used to take out their trash every Tuesday and Friday. And I made it so that they each, every door was about $400. Now, Tom, can you pull out your calculator?
Sure.
All right, I want you guys to understand this. So you think about that. From $1, one girl said, hey, I'll pay you $1 twice a week. I'm like, done. How about you girls, you roommates? They're like, done. If you'll do that, that'd be amazing. So I started this company. It was called Buck. And I got over 700 dorm rooms of girls. So let's do this math. So 700 times 4, Tom.
Okay, it's 2,800.
2,800. And I did it twice a week.
Times 2, yep.
Times 2, what's that?
That's 5,600.
Okay, 5,600. This is just taking out garbage, you guys. I'm a college kid, and I'm making 5,600 a month. And all it takes me is about 2 hours twice a month. I had my dad's old pickup. I would pull it up. And I had all the garbages out on the steps already, and I had them insure. I made a really nice envelope that was laminated, that all they had to do is put their money in it, and they would put it on the door, and it was just Buck. And I did my own branding. So all the other girls that saw that was on there, they're like, dude, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. So Tom, if you do that, 50, what is that? How much is that?
5,600.
5,600 a month divided by 3, because there were 3 of us.
That's a little less than 2,000. That's about 1,800, right?
Well, yeah, there were 3 of us, so 1,800.
Something like that.
Yeah, 1,800. But so if you look at that, and then divided by, times 12.
Okay. I have to pull out my calculator for that one. Hold on a second.
All right, hold on. So, okay, you got 700 times $4. That's 2,000 times 2 times a week. So we were making about, 5,600 a week. Is that right? Divided by 3, is that 1,800?
$1,866 is the correct answer. Times 12. That's $22,400.
Yeah. So, but you got to do that. So times 4, that was twice a week. But I mean, that's twice a week, but you got to times that now by 4, because Tom, we were doing that 4 times a week, right?
Wow. So individually, every one of your 3 players was making 22 grand.
We were making 22 grand.
Each of you, for the 3 of you.
Each
And
of
then,
us.
then if you increase the number you're going to do it, you're just going to multiply that.
Exactly. Then we just need to get more dorm rooms. So I want you guys, like, look at that. There was a problem that I solved for, and it paid for my entire college. It helped me buy a wedding ring for my wife. And it literally only took me a few minutes. So I want you guys to think differently. And guess what else happened from that? I ran for student body president of the college, and everyone knew who I was already. So I built my network up by just being happy about people and serving and taking garbage out. It was so fun. Tom, is that not an awesome, simple story?
Yeah, that's incredible. And so one of the things we talk and teach about, and I actually learned this from our friend Jay Abraham. Both of us are good friends with Jay. You need more customers.
Yeah.
Times they buy more often.
Yes.
Times they buy more every
Yes.
time.
Yes.
There's only 3 ways to really grow your business. So
Yes.
look what he did. He got more customers. He got them to buy. I thought it was impressive that you went into a dorm and got all 4 of the girls to give you money.
They had to all 4 do it. And because it's like, it was peer pressure.
That's amazing. So we got more customers. They bought more often. You know, he would do it once or twice a week. And then each time they would buy more every time they bought.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate formula, and everything's a subset of that.
So I want you guys to think about those 3 things as you're thinking about your prosperity zone. How are you going to earn money? Does it drive happiness for you? Is it sustainable? And for me, it was simply being a garbage guy for the girls in the college. So think about your lives. Think about what you're going to create. Think about how you're going to create it. And this is one of my favorite quotes from Henry David Thoreau, and I'm going to leave you with this. The price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it. I want you all to be super prosperous. I want you all to have so much massive success that you change the lives of your children forever. And I know that you can do it. Listen to Tom's trainings and teachings. He's going to teach you some simple principles that are fundamental laws of nature. Math is math. Earning an income is actually fun. It's doable. You just have to level up the thinking and ensure that you're gaining the skill sets and competencies to do it. Tom, thank you so much for letting me be on today.
Well, Randy, thank you so much. And you know, the purpose of the foundation, first of all, this is not my foundation. This is our foundation. This is a foundation that's made up of best-selling authors, educators, and entrepreneurs. Well, Randy is all 3 of those things. And, you know, number 3, you got to give. And when you give, you get. Just look at that. He was elected the, student body officers because he did a service. And it's a great way to pick up girls too. I actually went to the same school that Randy did, and both of us owned a lot of real estate up there too, as well.
And you know, it's funny, Tom, too, because I ran for student body president, I met Ethan Willis because we ran against each other. We became business partners. I mean, just from like those, you never know what domino effects are going to happen in your life.
You have to connect the dots going backwards.
Yeah.
And when you do, you say, this is how this happened, this is how this happened, this is how this other happened. So kind of just in conclusion with Randy, I am so grateful for him for everything that he's taught. You know, this is the character of the foundation. I'm just the crazy guy that got the thing programmed to get up and going. But these are the kind of people that want to help you. And this is how we do it. And this is why this is successful, is because we have so many people that are willing to give. And it's a spiritual law, but it's a business law. The more you give, the more you get. And so I'm so grateful for Randy. It's a wonderful book. It's called Prosper. I highly recommend you pick it up online, and it'll make a huge difference in your life. So Randy, thank you so much for being with us. And what I'm so excited about with Randy is, the National Day of Service. Both of us have a very good friend that has a big food bank. And one of the things we're doing at the National Day of Services is that we are doing a big food drive. And we do that also in the Philippines and other areas. Rise and Rebuild is a wonderful organization that we're big supporters of. And the National Day of Service is designed for us to do projects all over the world. And we want to help you to be part of that. Go to nationaldayofservice.org and you can see what we're doing. Send us an email, successmoneyfoundation@gmail.com, and tell us about your project, and we do matching. So we're so excited about that. And one last thing that I learned from Randy that we've really incorporated is that, Randy, we have over 3,000 students now that have started saving and investing. This is documented where they've shown us, because we send out all these rewards, and so they need to show us their investment accounts. And why we give away Berkshire Hathaway is because it's the best way to get started. And it's a simplicity. Both Randy and I have the privilege of having wonderful parents that taught us at a very young age. Both of Randy's a brother from another mother. We had a similar backgrounds. We both grew up in small towns, big families. We had to work. We called it a pearl diver. I washed dishes at a truck stop when I was 14, but I had my own stock account. I was making 12% on my money with my dad. And this is the things that have been handed down from generation to generation. And the way that we change people's world is, number one, is with education. If I don't give you one thing, money, knowledge, or experience, what would you choose? Sometimes we just give our kids money because it's easier. We're giving them keys to the Ferrari and they wreck the Ferrari. That's not how we do it. Knowledge. Well, knowledge is very, very important, but it's the execution. It's actually doing something. And do something, even if it's just okay. It doesn't have to be great. It's just okay. And if you'll do that, that will make a huge difference in your life. And both of us have had life-changing experiences. Oprah says that if you don't get it in the whisper, you get it when somebody hits you in the head with a brick. If you don't get it when they hit you in the head with a brick, then you get it when the whole house falls down on you. So don't figure this out yourself. Learn from other people. Send me the memo. And yes, Randy, since you're 48 and I'm 64, I'd be happy to trade you anytime you would like. I'd love to have that body of yours and your energy and everything else. But thank you so much for being with us, Randy. We just love what you do, and we love the service that you do and being able to help so many people. So thanks again.
Okay, thank you guys. Have a great, blessed day, and God bless y'all.